Welcome to another edition of the Night Sky this week for March 1st, 2021. Here we are starting a brand new month filled with amazing skywatching events that I'm going to be sharing with you every week. So thank you so much for joining us. We are going to be talking about the moon, Mars, different constellations in a transition month that we're in. We're going to be talking about asteroids and some ghostly lights as well. So why don't we dig in? So first up, I've got the chat room open. I wanted to say hi to everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Jenny, welcome from New Zealand. Bob from South Carolina. Penny from Illinois. Lubia, good morning to you. Your gang is ready to go skywatching with you. That's fantastic. And Lovelace Tabana from South Africa. Wonderful. So happy that you guys could join me. I hope you get some clear skies this week. And it's going to be great. Let's dig in and let's see what we can find. First off, have you seen any auroras, Aurora borealis? It seems like Earth has been slammed with a stream of solar wind that has sparked some beautiful northern lights. Any of you, especially in the higher latitude regions in the northern hemisphere, there has been incidences of northern lights. And I just wanted to share with you some amazing images at my friends at spaceweather.com. I encourage you to go visit them. They have a wonderful gallery up. I will share a link with you about that. But this is some just amazing photographs that have come in just this last, you see, look at the top line here, from Alberta, Canada, Alaska, USA. These are all Alaska, Ontario, Canada as well. And look at this. This is really interesting. This was taken just overnight in Ontario, Canada, in my country. Lots of snow on the ground, but look at this. Isn't this amazing? There is some aurora there. This is in Fort Francis, Ontario by Lori Kangas, taken sometime earlier today on Monday, March 1st. And even with the bright glare of the moon, this is something visible. So I highly encourage you guys to look out for auroras if you're in higher northern latitude regions. So if you're across Canada, northern Europe, northern Asia, this is something that you should be looking out for. If we're lucky, the moon is going to be mostly out of the sky for the earlier part of the evening. And this may lead to ideal conditions. And what's happening is that during this time of the year, there is a crack that occurs around March, April in the geomagnetic field, the bubble-like protective layer around the Earth that protects us from the solar wind, activity from the sun. And there's a crack that forms that allows a lot of these electrically charged particles to stream in to our atmosphere. And those hit particles in the atmosphere like oxygen molecules, nitrogen molecules that make up the atmosphere, and they charge them up and they glow like a neon sign. And that's what causes beautiful auroras. So do stay tuned for that. It's possible over the next month that we'll have lots of really good, even into April and May. It's a really traditionally a great time to see northern lights. So just stay tuned. And a really good place is spaceweather.com. You can basically sign up for an email notification for auroras when they do happen. So it's a really nice service, and it's amazing to be able to see auroras. So why don't we now dig in to the night sky? Lots of really interesting things. Hold on, let me just get that organized. There we go. So why don't we dig in? Here we go. So we've got the sky set up for Monday, March 1st. If you're watching this later this week, whether you're on YouTube, Twitch, or on Facebook, you'll be able to garner what we have seen and what is coming up. So it'll be time-stamped, especially for the YouTubers out there. You'll get a timestamp for the different dates and different events that are happening. So watch the description for that. But what we have here is a great setup for the sky this week. And Mars is still very, very much in the news, of course, because of NASA's beautiful mission. Have you seen those amazing photographs from Perseverance rover? Absolutely fantastic, showing the basin of this giant 25-kilometer crater called Jezero crater. Just fantastic. I'll have a link to some amazing footage below in the comment section. Check that out for more images from the beautiful rover, the six-wheeled rover called Perseverance, also known as Percy affectionately. So what's happening now this week? I want you to take a look. I'm going to turn off these deep sky notifications because we don't want to confuse ourselves right there. And what I want you to notice is just an amazing close encounter between the red planet and the Pleiades star cluster. The Pleiades star cluster, also known as the Seven Sisters, also known as Messier 45, is a beautiful grouping of, actually it's over 500 stars, but what are visible to the naked eye is about 7. With binoculars, you could see over a dozen at least, maybe even a couple of dozen are visible with binoculars and small telescopes. But it's an absolutely beautiful sight seeing the cluster next door to the planet. Now, these two objects are vastly different, right? Mars is a planet, and it's the neighboring planet. It's about 12 light minutes away, 220 million kilometers away is where Mars sits from us. And we've got our orbiters and landers there, and it is visible with the naked eye on any clear night. And this week is special because Mars is passing by, gliding by this beautiful open cluster called the Pleiades. Now, the Pleiades are known as one of the most beautiful for backyard skywatchers. I highly recommend it. It's about 440 light years away from the Earth. This is a beautiful snapshot from a backyard telescope. It's visible to the naked eye, and it's visible with binoculars, and really beautiful through its telescope as well. But it is visible as a small little clustering of stars. If you look carefully with the naked eye and binoculars, you may notice there's a pattern that looks like very familiar, maybe looking a little bit like the Big Dipper. A super miniaturized version of the Big Dipper pattern of stars is what you're actually looking at when you're seeing this beautiful star cluster called the Pleiades, or the Seven Sisters, or Messier 45. It's number 45 on Charles Messier's amazing deep sky watching list. And just remember, it is actually a clustering, a grouping. Physically, they're grouped together, these stars are. And they were born, we think, about 100 million years ago. I mean, that's incredible, right? To think about 100 million years, dinosaurs were still around on Earth, very much dominant life force on our planet. When these stars, the Pleiades star cluster, was born, and now they're it's a really beautiful cluster. If you look at them up close, you can see that they are really blue-white in color. They're very hot young stars, and even though they're 100 million years old, they're still kind of what we would call middle-aged stars. Now, remember, compare this to the sun, our own star, our home star, is 5 billion years old. So at 100 million years, this is really, they're considered fairly young. But yet, on a human lifetime, it's hard to fathom. 100 million year old stars is what you're looking at when you're seeing that little faint fuzzy cluster. And all of that action is happening 440 light years away. It means that's how long the light takes to reach your eye. And of course, next door to it is planet Mars. And through a small telescope, you get a very meager little view through a small telescope, but you can it's still worthwhile taking a look. If you have that telescope, you can reveal a tiny little disk, something that'll look like this with dark markings, patches on it, and light patches. So remember that Mars is enshrouded, it's very dusty. It's an iron oxide-rich dust that is settled across the surface of Mars. Everything is covered by it. If you look at those images from NASA's Perseverance rover, you can see all that dust. When it was landing, you saw all that dust covering the surface, being blown around. So you can actually see that through a backyard telescope. The darker markings are where windswept highland regions of Mars. So they're very laid bare, mountainous canyon areas. And then the lighter regions are really the deserts of Mars, filled with sand dunes. So really beautiful sight through a small telescope. A bit of a challenge now that Mars is kind of getting farther away. It's about 220 million kilometers away from our planet. And it takes about 12 minutes for a radio signal to travel between our two worlds. So imagine with the rover and those orbiters that you've heard so much about at Mars, that we've sent to Mars, it takes 12 minutes for those radio signals, those beautiful pictures and videos, to be beamed back to our planet. That's a one-way travel time for those radio signals and images, digital images, to make that, traverse that interplanetary gulf of space that separates us. So this is something I want you to see. It's anytime this week is really when Mars is passing very close. So Monday, March 1st, 2nd, and March 3rd. By Wednesday, March 3rd, it'll be even closer. So if I move this a little bit forward per day, you can see this is the 2nd and that's the 3rd. You can see how Mars is passing by. By Friday, it'll be a little bit moving away from that grouping of stars, right? So it's something really neat to be able to see. And of course, don't forget, right next door to it, we've got the face of Taurus the Bull, marked by the brilliant orange star Antares. I should say Aldebaran. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up the stars. Antares is actually in Scorpius, but Aldebaran is the red eye of the bull, or the orange eye of the bull. And it's 66 light years away, this star, and it marks one side of this giant V pattern of stars. So it's a really amazing group, this V pattern, by the way. That's another cluster, just like what we were talking about, the Pleiades cluster over here. The Hyades cluster is even closer, where the Pleiades is 440 light years away. The Hyades cluster is about 177 light years away, much closer than Pleiades. In fact, the Hyades is one of the closest star clusters to the naked eye that's visible. It's really impressive. Closest to the Earth too. I mean, it's really one of the closest and brightest that we can see. So check all of that out anytime this week. Of course, Monday, the 1st is when we're recording this, but it's really something that's visible all throughout. Now, there is on Tuesday, March 2nd, with the moon out, coming up, rising very late at night. This is a great time to also, in another deep sky scenario that I'd like to show you is, of course, Orion, a very famous constellation, very easy to see around the world, no matter where you're watching from. This is another constellation that's easily visible. It's kind of dominating the southwestern sky in the late evenings. And of course, Orion is marked by the belt of 3 stars. Right here, that's the belt of Orion. Very easily visible, these lineup of 3 stars. Now, but what I want you to do is draw an imaginary line from these 3 stars, right? You have Alnilam, you have these 3 stars here. Let me just zoom in so it's easier to see. You have here Mintaka, Alnilam, and then you have Alnitak right there. Now, if you draw an imaginary line to the next brightest star to the left, just extend that line of the belt towards the left. And this is what we call star hopping. This is a great technique to learning the sky, is draw that imaginary line to the left of this 3 stars in the belt, and you'll hit another bright star. And guess what star that is? It's called Sirius. And Sirius is the brightest star in the entire sky. There are no stars that outshine Sirius. And so it's very easy to see. And guess what? It marks as the brightest star in the constellation Canis Major. Canis Major, the great dog. Right there, you can see the mythological figure. Again, where are we looking in the sky? Generally around the southwestern sky, late at night. Okay, so again, we've got it set up for Tuesday, March 2nd, but this is something you can see on any dark night this week or next week. It's really great. Any clear night this time of the year, it's a fantastic sight. But what I want to focus on is if we zoom in, and if I can kind of highlight the shows what are called deep sky objects that are far away from outside of our solar system. And I want you to find this neat open cluster. Again, this is part of astronomer Charles Messier, the 17th century French astronomer, put together a wonderful collection of 110 deep sky objects outside of our solar system that are bright and make great amateur astronomy targets. And any of you that are real enthusiasts of the night sky, this is the list that you want to go to. And guess what? Canis Major has a really nice object for the taking for us, right next to our favorite the super brightest star, Sirius, is going to guide you to this. It makes it so simple to find. And about 4 degrees south of this bright star is something called M41. And if we zoom in on it, look what it looks like. See the circle? I want you to look at that circle. You see that? It's a beautiful star cluster. A star, on what we actually call an open star cluster. So it's kind of like a scattering of bright stars. And if we look at the description of M41, it's a whopping, get this, it's a whopping 2,300 light years away. Here's a beautiful close-up image of this collection of stars. Were born in the same gas cloud millions of years ago, and yet they're still huddled together. And you're looking at an object that's 2,300 light years away. Now, this open cluster, easily visible with binoculars. And how do you find it with your binoculars? Just go to the star Sirius. That's where you'll find it very easily with that brilliant star guiding you only 4 degrees away. So how much is that? 4 degrees. Well, let me show you. So your hand is a great measuring tool for the sky. It's something that's very handy. We have it with us all the time, right? So it's something that you can use as a sky measuring tool. So, 5 degrees in the sky is about equal to about your 3 fingers, approximately. Okay, approximately. 10 is maybe your fist, but 3 fingers is about 5. So if you think about this, if you hold your arm at arm's length, your hand at arm's length like this, I should say, you do that at arm's length, and then you kind of find where Sirius is, and you put it at the top of where your 3 fingers are, and then below that is about that span of your 3 fingers is about 5 degrees. Now, I know we all have different sized hands, different sized fingers. This is a very approximate tool. It's not going to be exact, but it gives you a great guidepost on about where to look for things in the sky using hand sky measures. This is something actually in my book right here, Backyard Guide to the Night Sky. I have on all my sky charts little hand measures of a fist, your 3 fingers, your thumb. They all equal a certain size in the sky, and they're great ways to find distances that separate objects. So check that out by looking for the star Sirius and using your 3 fingers at arm's length. Now span approximately 5 degrees. And like I said, the star cluster M41 is about 4 degrees below Sirius. So it's a little bit less. It will fit in between those 3 fingers that you're pointing out like that easily. But it gives you an idea of where to scan. And by the way, when you're looking at this object, even with binoculars, you can see this is approximately what a binocular field of view will be. And what I want you to see is that in your small binoculars, Sirius and M41 are separated by quite a distance. They'll should just about fit in your field of view in binoculars. With a telescope, no way, it's too tight of a view through a telescope. So through a telescope, this is more of the view that you'll get. Something like this is what you'll get of it. So it'll take up something like what this picture takes up. That will be approximating through a telescope what you'll see. And again, this is something that you should be able to see no matter where you are in the world. It's something that's easily visible. So let me see if I can get this off. Now I'm stuck. Well, there you go. Let me see if I can get that off. Yeah. Seems like I've got a technical problem of being able to take this. Well, that's unusual. That hasn't happened to me before. I think I am stuck. Let me see. Just be patient here. Sometimes it undoes itself. Let's see. Bear with me. If this doesn't work, we'll have to try again later. Yeah, it seems that my software has frozen. Oh my gosh. And I can't seem to get it unfrozen either. Let me see if I can do that. There we go. Now we're going to see if we can reboot it. This is you're at the mercy of software, unfortunately. So what we were talking about while I'm waiting to see if this actually boots up, if it doesn't, we'll see what we can do. But really, deep sky objects are something so nice to see because it really extends your vision beyond the solar system. And that's what it's about when you're talking about deep sky objects. It's something that is a little bit more challenging to see. They're fainter because they're literally light years away. And they're not something that's easy to see. So here we go. Let's see if we're oh yeah, okay. So here we go. There we go. Now we're cooking. We'll just increase the size and there we go. So yay, we're back. So what we're talking about here is a deep sky object, M41, the star cluster, an open star cluster, 2,300 light years away from Earth, visible easily through binoculars and telescopes, and the star Sirius right here, guiding you to easily find that. It's in the constellation Canis Major. So take a look at that. Now, if we move to Wednesday, March 3rd, I want you to take a look at Orion again. Now, Orion, we've used the belt of 3 stars to find the star Sirius by star hopping, right? This is called star hopping. So you kind of draw an imaginary line to the left of those 3 belt stars in Orion, you reach Sirius in Canis Major. If you do the same thing the other way, by the way, I wanted to share that too. What happens if you do it the other way? It's not quite as well lined up, but you kind of reach the next brightest star if you move along that line is going to be Aldebaran, the orange eye of Taurus the bull. So this is a great way to learn where is Taurus. If you're interested in knowing where Taurus is or where Canis Major is, right, the big dog with Sirius, you can actually use the belt of Orion as a wonderful guidepost in tracking down nearby bright stars. Now, if we want to do that a little bit more, what else could we do with Orion? Well, how about using the other two bright stars, Betelgeuse, which marks the shoulder of Orion, and this guy over here, way at the other end, Rigel. These two bright stars. And if we would draw an imaginary line between these two bright stars, where does that take us? If we draw it upwards past Betelgeuse, guess what? You arrive at a pair of bright stars, which are the Gemini pair, Pollux and Castor. Pollux is a bit yellow in color, distinctly yellow, in fact, compared to Pollux, which is very brilliant white. So you've got the pair, the brightest members of the Gemini constellation, easily found by using another pair of stars in the constellation Orion, by using Rigel and Betelgeuse, as draw an imaginary line between them, and then continue outward from Betelgeuse until you hit the next brightest stars, which in this case are two, Castor and Pollux. And that's it. Easy peasy, something you can do simply by just connecting some of the bright stars of Orion and using them to figure out where neighboring stars are. I mean, it's very easy. And you can even try this by using Orion's other main star in his other shoulder, Bellatrix. Bellatrix and Betelgeuse, draw an imaginary line from them, and then just below that line, the next brightest star is Procyon in the constellation Canis Minor, the little dog. So I want you to try to use Orion as a star-hopping mecca in finding neighboring constellations. Again, this is really priming you to become a more savvy skywatcher, a stargazer. Orion is one of those real amazing guideposts in the sky that can be used to hop around and learn the surrounding area in the area. So check that out, okay? So there you go. That's for Orion. Now, if we move on to the dawn of Friday, this is something interesting. There we go. And we move into sunrise. We've got the moon guiding you to a wonderful clustering of planets. Now, particularly what I want you to notice is, of course, the moon is going to be far off to the side. Now, if you are in the southern hemisphere, it'll be reversed. Okay, it will be the opposite way. The moon will be on the other side of these planets, the other side of what you're seeing where the sun is rising. But you will still see these as well, the same clustering. They'll just be oriented differently in the southern hemisphere of these three planets, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury. So check that out. It'll be really neat. Mercury and Jupiter will be in conjunction, meaning that they will be at their closest. This is, again, Friday morning. So this week, Friday morning, these two planets, Mercury and Jupiter, and they're pretty much the farthest apart in their makeup of what the type of planets they are. So if we magically go out into the orbital view, I'll show you what it looks like if we could magically look down on the plane of the solar system. This is what you will notice. Zooming out from Mercury. Mercury, of course, is the innermost planet, the planet that is closest to the sun. And we're zooming out. You can see the lines that you're seeing are all the pathway, the highways of each circular pathways of each planet. There's the sun at the center. We're going to move out a little more, where you can see there is Earth, there is Mercury, there is Venus, and there is Mars down here. Now, if we move out, you'll see the outer solar system where Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus's orbits are. And look at that. So there is Jupiter right up there, and there is Earth down here. And you can see where Mercury is right there. So imagine this setup. We are on Earth, we're looking out from our planet, and you can see the sun is here. And the sun, and it's going to be Mercury and Jupiter look close, don't they, in the sky? But look at the vast difference. I mean, the distance between Mercury and Venus, we're talking close to around a billion kilometers in their separation. So it's amazing that And you can see that this is a visual, simply something that's a visual illusion of sorts, that we see these two planets so close together. And of course, Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system. It's a gas giant. Over 1,200 of Earths can fit inside of there. And then Mercury is a tiny little world, very close and similar to in what our moon is like. So check this out. We're going to move this closer and see what Mercury looks like. If you have a small telescope pointed at Mercury, this is again in the morning. You can use Jupiter as a guidepost. Jupiter will be a brilliant star-like object. But look at this. I think this is so neat because it looks like a quarter moon, right? A half-lit moon. And yet this is going to be tiny. You need a telescope to see it looking like this. But even the smallest of telescopes, if you have that, do point it at Mercury and look at it like this. It's just amazing to see. To think that you're looking at another planet close to the sun, being lit up by the sun. It looks like a star to the naked eye. And then let's not forget our favorite ring giant, Saturn, is going to be off to the side of this pairing. But it's a wonderful time. It's a very close pairing of Mercury and Jupiter Friday morning. Do check that out. Now, there is one more thing I wanted to also bring up. Let's see if I can. Let's see if I can bring that around. Is this. So starting this weekend on Saturday and Sunday, we have a 2-week window where we see a phenomenon called zodiacal lights. This is a picture I found on Wikipedia. I'll put a link to it below and got a great explanation of what it is. But briefly, what you're looking at is this pyramid-shaped light or a cone-shaped light in the western horizon about an hour after your local sunset. And you need to be in a kind of a darker area, somewhere away from light pollution to really notice the zodiacal lights. But it happens around this time of the year for the next 2 weeks. Evening twilight, an hour after your local sunset, a cone of light forms. And what this cone of light is I think the most amazing thing, is that it's dust, planetary dust that's in between the planets that have been left over from the time when the solar system formed. So we're talking about 4.5 billion years ago. All the planets formed, the moons formed that we see today, and there was leftover building blocks, this dust. And it's kind of settled in between the planets. And this time of the year, the sun shines on them such that we get to see them illuminated. They actually shine. And that's what you're looking at with this amazing view. This is a snapshot that was taken in the summit of Mauna Kea, Hawaii. And it's just a beautiful, to be able to see the zodiacal lights like this is something quite special. Again, here's another example from La Silla Observatory in Chile, the zodiacal lights. Here's another photograph of that. You see, it's kind of cone-shaped, and it can be easily mistaken for lights of a big city, maybe beyond the horizon. But that's why I say you need to have a dark site away from light pollution to really see this cone-shaped light. But it's called the zodiacal light. I'll put a link in the comment section below about this. And starting this weekend, you've got 2 weeks to see that. So the next clear night, if you could get to a dark spot, you'll be able to check this out, find this ghostly glow we call the zodiacal lights. Lots of things to see this week. I'll put up sky charts all week long, space news as well. I want to thank you so much for joining me. If you like this video and you'd like to see more, please do support me by giving me a thumbs up and sharing this video and subscribing to my channel, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch. Thank you so much. I hope you stay safe and healthy. And as always, I wish all of you guys clear skies. I want to wish all of you the best for the week. Bye-bye.